When progressing from passive footprinting to active footprinting, one of the first things I typically do is to go grab a copy of a company's entire website. So in this case, Big Money Bank has a public website. Nothing wrong with actually going out and browsing around, looking at it manually. But I think it's a little bit easier if I just download the entire website to my hard drive, because then I can do things like index all of the content, look through hidden content without having to do a view page source on every single page, look at the code behind all of this, look at pretty much anything I want to look at that I can download. That's a great piece of resource because then I'm only really touching the website once. Certainly it's a very, very hard touch, a very direct touch, but it's one touch, and maybe I'll do that from a place that they can't really trace back to me. Some examples of common tools, and there's a myriad of tools available to you for this. I typically use HTTrack and Black Widow, but Website Ripper, Web Ripper, these are tools as well. All they're really going to do is go to the URL that you provide, hit that page, follow every link, branch, kind of like a Google index or any kind of robot scan, and grab every bit of content possible, mirror that down to your local drive, and then use some type of search engine to actually index it. You use that yourself, or you manually parse through it, anything you like. It's just this footprinting bit. We're not looking for penetration at this point. We're not looking to analyze the code to find SQL injection vulnerability or cross-site scripting opportunities. We're just looking to get the data and bring it down so that we can scan it in the next phase. Another nice approach that I tend to use, there's a few different techniques for email tracking. So I'll target employees that I've found during the initial scan, during the passive footprinting, with trackable email. Trackable email gives me information about where the email is processed, who's opening it, where it goes, and so forth. It also shows me the difference between live accounts and non-live accounts or inactive accounts. And it helps me see where the barriers are, what's scanning email, what's preventing email from getting through versus what kind of email is getting through, what kind of attachments are being opened, and so forth. In this case, Email Tracker Pro is probably my favorite, although as you can see, there's a number of examples, and this is by no means a comprehensive list. Email Tracker Pro is a useful one because it will show me not just where the email went, it'll also show me who opened it, how long they dwelled on it, whether they opened attachments, whether they clicked on links, and so forth. It gives me a bit of rich information, not just about the target itself and the email itself, but also how people at the company handle email. That's a fantastic thing for later if we want to get some malware inside the perimeter. Moving into actual technology-based verification, or server verification in this case, we found out maybe 5 or 10 different servers that Big Money Bank has through the passive footprinting phase. Now it's time to find out which ones are available, which ones can we reach. If I see a mail.bigmoneybank.com, can I ping it? Can I actually open SMTP to it? Can I actually reach it directly, or can I reach it passively through another connection, and so forth? I need to know what servers I have available so I know what I should start my attack with. Oftentimes going after one particular server may reveal a path through another server. So I may find that smtp.bigmoneybank.com is actually behind a firewall or in a DMZ. Doing this active footprinting helps me identify what is between me and that target network or that target server. All kinds of great information can spring forth simply by going after these in an active way. Again, not trying to attack them, just seeing if I can reach them through pings, through, in this case, trace routes, visual trace routes, and so forth. I typically, with this one, will stick to the built-in tools in Windows like ping and traceRT to find out if I can get there. Also to find out if I can resolve the names, and if the packets are dropping off, if the pings are dropping off, where they're dropping off. Are they actually hitting that server? Are they getting close to the server? Is the ISP stopping the packets from getting through all the way? This is great information to have as well. It helps me understand where the filters are. It helps me understand who's protecting this network and where that protection's coming from. The outprint of both the passive and active footprinting phases is a fairly comprehensive set of data about the target, the people that work there, both officers and publicly identified figures, as well as through social networks of a variety of different ways, the individuals, the worker bees, if you will, the middle management, and how they all relate to each other, who manages who. This is great stuff on Facebook usually, or LinkedIn. Gathering all of that information together is fantastic. And in footprinting, that's exactly what we do. Oftentimes I'll hear people say at different companies, well, I don't use Facebook because I think that's a violation of company secrecy. Well, I don't use Facebook, but I use LinkedIn. I don't use LinkedIn, but I use Monster.com. An ethical hacker is actually patching all of the data together from all of those different sources to have a comprehensive footprint or a comprehensive map of the people, of the computers, of all of that stuff. A lot of times out of this footprinting comes the idea of, is this company in competition with other companies? Who do they see as a threat? Who do they see as their direct and indirect competition? And then footprinting those to some extent to find out whether they have a really contentious relationship or not. That can be useful later on when we're trying to cover tracks. If we want this attack to look like it came from one of the competitors, that's a really tempting approach because it's easy to throw them off the track. It's easy to throw the target off the track if you tell them something they probably expect to hear or want to hear, for example, like their competitor is attacking them. Fantastic misdirection, great way to hide your tracks and not go to jail. What ultimately, at a very high level, we're looking to do in footprinting is to map out the future targets, at least a great starting place. Occasionally, very, very occasionally, that kind of information is not the result of footprinting. You don't get enough information out of footprinting. But I would say 99 out of 100 times, there's enough information that comes out of this process to tell you what you're going to attack first, who you're going to attack first, and what your likelihood of success is.